Hi lovely people, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for your support. If this is your first time, kindly help us by hitting on that red icon to subscribe. Also touch the notification bell to be the first to be notified whenever I upload a new video. So now today's class we shall be looking at how to make a buttoned shirt gown with a notched collar. Okay, so here I have my two fabric. I've cut out the length of the dress. Okay, it's a long gown, so it won't be having and half cut. So I have the length I'll be working with. I have here 61 inches, but the actual length is 58. So I'll be using the rest for the folding of the down, that is the hemming of the down part. So I'll first of all cut down my back piece before cutting out for the front piece. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into two. So my measurement will be starting from this point, and from here I'm going to take my half length, which is 17 inches, and my hip line, which is 26 inches. I'm going to make a straight line there. So from here I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement, and that is 15 inches plus divided by 2 will give us 7.5 plus half inch, making it 8 inches. Okay, then the shoulder slope of 3 inches. So at this shoulder line I'll coming down by 1 inch for our shoulder slope. And for the armhole I'm working with is 18 inches divided by 2 to give us 9 inches. So I'm going to confirm that, which is here 8 inches. So I'm going to connect this 1 inch to this 9 inches here. Okay, and I'm going to connect our shoulder slope from this 1 inch to this 3 inches. So at this armhole line, I'm going to make a straight line here. So the bust I'm working with is 40 inches divided by 4 to give us 10 inches. So I'm going to mark my 10 inches here. Then I will add 1 inch for ease, and I will add 1.5 for seam allowance. At the waistline, the waist I'm working with is 34 inches divided by 4 to give us 34 inches divided by 4. We have 17, then 17 into 2 we have 8.5. So I'm going to mark my 8.5 inches. Then here I'll add 1 inch for ease and 1.5 for seam allowance. At the hip line I have 42 inches divided by 4 to give us 10.5, sorry. So I'm going to mark my 10.5, 1 inch for ease and 1.5 for seam allowance. Okay, so I'm going to take what I have in my hip line down to the hem line. Then I'm going to make my connection. From the waistline I'm going to connect to the hip, and from the bust I'm going to connect to my waist. Then for the armhole, the half of it is 4.5. So I'm going to connect those now to my bust line. Now I'm going to come out by ½ inch. Then I'm going to connect this. Remember that this is our back piece. So I don't think that this is just necessary, but I'm just marking it, but it's not necessary. I'm going to mark it for the front part. So I'm going to I'm going to take my hip line measurements down to the hem line. So what we have is 10.5 plus 1 inch for ease, plus 1 inch for ease, and 1.5 for seam allowance. So I'm going to cut this out. Okay, for our front neck, for our back neckline, from those 3 inches here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the back. Okay, so from these 3 inches, I'm going to connect to this 1 inch, and this is our neckline for the back. Okay. So I've set this aside now and bring for the back, for the front, fold it, then place this on top to cut out for the front. Okay, for the front part, I've folded my fabric into 2 and I've placed the back piece to it. So what I have to do now is to get my allowance for the facing, okay, and also you know you're going to be using it for the buttonhole. Okay, so here I have 6 inches. So at those 6 inches now, for my neck, I'll be using 4 inches for the facing. Okay, I'll be using 4 inches for the facing. So I'm going to mark this 4 inches all through so that I can be able to fold it in. So I'll go ahead now to fold this inside. Okay, I folded this, but before I put it inside, I'll go ahead to open up this. Okay, because remember that this is supposed to be separated. That is our front. Okay, so I'm going to open up this. So I'll raise this up and take this inside. Okay, so I made a little bit of an adjustment. Remember I said I have 6 inches here, okay, for the facing. So initially I said I'm going to be folding this thing by 4 inches, but I extended it to 4.5 inches. Okay, so what I folded now is 4.5. Okay, so that this 1.5 here will be for our placket, sorry, for our buttonhole. Okay, so I'll go ahead now to mark the neckline for the front. And I'll be using 3 inches. So be careful, just raise this back up so you can be able to cut out the front. Okay, so I'll put this back now and cut out this shape. Can just use my pin to hold this down so that to avoid shifting. I'm going to use my pin to hold this. I'll start from the down part and cut this. So I'll go ahead now to notch out this. Okay, so that when I open it up, it will guide me on where our folding is starting from. Alright, I'm going to notch this, and I'm also going to notch out this 1.5 here. Okay. Alright. So I haven't done this now. Just go ahead now to set this aside and cut my sleeve. Okay. Then after that, I will go to the machine and I'm going to be joining my shoulders. So for my sleeve, I'll be starting it from this point. Then from here, I'm going to come down by 16 inches. This is the length. Then I will use 2 inches for my folding. Okay. Then this is my cap's height. Then for the armhole, I have 9 inches, and I'll be adding 2 inches for allowance. So I'm going to connect this. Because it's a very free dress, very free sleeve, I'll just determine how wide I want it to be. I'll be using 11 inches. So I'm going to connect this like this. I want to cut out this. So for our basic sleeve, I'm going to be putting a link on the description part. You can just click there and watch how to cut your basic sleeve, so you can be able to understand what I just did here. Okay, so I'm going to be placing this here to cut out for the second sleeve. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join my sleeve to the top. First of all, join the two shoulders, the back and the front shoulder. Then I've joined my sleeve. Okay, I've joined the sleeve. So we are going back now to the neck line. So this is my neckline, okay, both the back and the front. So I'm going to hold this together like this, so I can be able to find out our back midpoint. Okay, so I'll be able to find out our back midpoint. So when you hold the two shoulders together, that will not guide you for the midpoint of the back. So this is my midpoint. I have to notch it, the midpoint of the back. Okay, so remember that we notched out this place, we ironed out first is the 4.5 inches that we used to fold this. Okay, then we went ahead to notch out our 1.5 inch, this part, the 1.5 inch that we notched then for the buttonhole. So this here is our buttonhole line. Okay, so we notched out 1.5 here, and we notched out our 4.5 here. So now this 1.5 that we notch here is where we will consider as our neck line. We are going to hold this up like so. Okay, at this 1.5 that we came in with from the 4.5 inches, we came in by 1.5 inch. Okay, so from this 1.5 now, you're going to take your measurements. Okay, you're going to take your measurements to the center of the back, and what we have is 8 inches. So you're going to set this aside now and cut out our collar. So the first thing you have to do is to get your piece, fold into two like so, then you fold again. Okay, so this is the right way to do your folding, so that you can be able to get this midpoint. Okay, so when we folded this into two to measure our neckline, we had 8 inches. So from the down part, I'm going to take my 8 inches, which is here. Then I'm going to add my stitching allowance. Okay, I added 1/2 inch for my stitch, so I'm going to connect it with a straight line. Okay, I'm going to connect this now with a straight line. Okay, all right. Now let me turn it like this. Mark my 8 inches plus 1/2 inch, making it 8.5. So I'm going to connect this. So what I have here for the length I'm working with, I'll be using 3.5 inches. So I'm going to remove this. I want to work with 3.5 inches. All right. So at this point that I marked my 8.5 inches, at this point I'm going to come up. I'm going to come up by half inch. Okay. I'm going to come up by half inch, and from this half inch now, I will connect it back. Okay. I will connect it back to this center part. From this place, I will connect back to this center part. Okay, so I'll go ahead to cut this out. So this place is always higher than this part. Okay, so here we have 3.5, while here we have 3 inches. Okay, so when you open it up, you see that here is higher than those sides. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to use my hair stay to gum this out, so that it will just give it a little bit of strength. I'll just use my hair stay, just gum it out once. Okay, you don't need that color gum for that. So I've ironed this out. Okay, so I'll just go to the machine now. Of course, we are going together so you will see how I'm going to be attaching this on the neck line. Okay, so I'm going to stitch this out using the half inch that I added to the main measurement to shape it out before attaching it to the dress. Okay, so here I have to get my midpoint. Then I have to take back my 8 inches from this midpoint now to this part, and I have to just use my ruler to get a straight line, and I did that for this side also. So I'll just go ahead now to stitch it out. I'm going to do the same thing for this other side. I'll just trim out the excess a little bit because it's much. I have to trim it out small. Then I'm going to turn it out. I'm going to turn it out. Then I'll go ahead to iron it. After ironing, you go ahead to stitch it. I'm using 0.25 when I stitch. So I can hold the two faces together. Then go ahead to start your placement. Remember that this is our center part. So this center part now will go to the center back. This center part will go to the center back. That is why I say it is important to notch out your back. So I'm going to be placing my center back this way. Make sure that the center of this collar is the same to the center of this back. I'm going to hold it down with my pin. Okay, so now you will take this to this 1.5 notch. Okay, then you will fold it inward. This is the front piece. Okay, this is the front piece, so you now fold it inward like so. This is the notch for our 4.5. So I'm going to be folding it like this. Okay, remember we have space here. This our collar is not meant to reach at this 4.5. It's meant to stop at this 1.5. So having done this now, I will hold it up like so, and I'm going to stitch it out. So I'll start by stitch. This is how I'm going to stitch it from here to the other side. I'm reaching at the other side. I'll also flip it inward, okay, and make sure that this collar starts from that 1.5 and not from the 4.5. All right. Okay, so after stitching it, you have something like this. Okay, so I can now go ahead now to turn this out. Okay, so this space here now will automatically serve as our notch. Here also, so this will serve as our notch. So when we fold it, we'll have this. So I can go ahead now to shape my sides. Okay, I can just go ahead, shape the side.